Long before anyone in Korea thought about making a shiny silver coin to buy rice or cloth, silver was already a very important metal. Think of it not as money, but as treasure. For centuries, kings and queens used silver to show their power and wealth. They would give beautiful silver objects as gifts to important visitors from other countries, like China. This was a way of saying, "Look how prosperous and strong our kingdom is." Silver was also used to create stunning ornaments for the royal family, from intricate hairpins to decorative belts. It was a symbol of the highest status, something only the most powerful people could own and display for others to see. This precious metal was not just for showing off wealth to other humans. It was also used in very important ceremonies to honor gods and ancestors. During special rituals, priests and officials would use bowls, cups, and other items made of pure silver. It was believed that the metal's purity and beauty made it a fitting offering for the spiritual world. Using silver was a way to show deep respect and to ask for blessings, like a good harvest or victory in battle. So, you see, silver was deeply connected to the spiritual life of the Korean people, serving as a bridge between the earthly realm and the heavens. It was far too special to be used for everyday shopping. Imagine a time without banks or wallets. For the wealthy elite, silver was their savings account. They would store their wealth in the form of silver bars, jewelry, and other valuable objects. These items were carefully guarded and passed down through generations as family heirlooms. This wasn't money you could spend at the market, but a store of value that represented a family's history and social standing. The more silver a noble family had, the more influence they held in the kingdom. It was a silent but powerful statement of their importance, a gleaming testament to their enduring legacy within the court and beyond. So, for hundreds of years, silver in Korea was all about diplomacy, religion, and status. It was a language of power spoken by kings and a sacred material used to communicate with the gods. It adorned the royal court and secured a family's fortune for the future. The idea of cutting this beautiful, almost magical metal into small, round pieces for everyone to use was completely foreign. Silver was for grand gestures and solemn occasions, not for buying a bundle of vegetables or a pair of straw shoes. Its role was firmly established as a treasure, setting the stage for a long history where it would be valued, but not yet minted into coins. During the Goryeo dynasty, which lasted from 918 to 1392, the use of silver became even more widespread, but still not in the form of coins. The kingdom was famous for its active trade with other nations, especially Song dynasty China. To facilitate this large-scale trade, Goryeo merchants and the government needed a reliable form of currency. They came up with something called unbyong, which translates to silver vase or silver bottle. These were not coins at all, but rather uniquely shaped ingots made of pure silver. They were shaped like the Korean peninsula itself, with a wide mouth and a narrow body, making them very distinct and difficult to counterfeit. These unbyong were used for very big transactions. You wouldn't use one to buy your lunch. Instead, they were used by the government to pay high-ranking officials or to purchase expensive goods from foreign traders. A single unbyong was worth a huge amount of grain or cloth, making it completely impractical for the average person. Think of it like trying to buy a candy bar with a gold bar today. It just doesn't work. The unbyong was a tool for the wealthy and the powerful, a way to move large amounts of wealth efficiently without having to carry thousands of smaller, less valuable bronze coins. It was a step towards a silver-based economy, but a very exclusive one. So why didn't the Goryeo dynasty just make small, round silver coins like other countries? One major reason was the limited supply of silver. Korea did not have many large silver mines at the time, so most of the silver had to be imported from China or Japan. This made the metal scarce and extremely valuable. The government likely feared that if they minted small silver coins, the precious metal would quickly flow out of the country through trade, or be hoarded by people, disappearing from circulation entirely. By keeping silver in the form of large, high-value ingots, they could control it more easily and ensure it was only used for official state purposes. The unbyong, therefore, represents a fascinating middle step in the history of Korean money. It shows that the Goryeo rulers understood the value of silver as a standard for exchange, but they were not ready to create a true silver coinage system for the masses. The silver vase was a currency for the elite, a specialized tool for international trade and government finance. For the common person in the Goryeo period, daily life was still conducted through barter or with small bronze coins. The gleaming world of silver remained distant, a symbol of the vast wealth of the kingdom, but not something they could hold in their own hands. When the Joseon dynasty took power in 1392, the role of silver in the economy continued to grow, but the resistance to making silver coins remained strong. The new dynasty inherited the Goryeo tradition of using silver for large-scale trade and official payments. Silver flowed into Korea, especially from Japan, which had discovered massive new silver mines. This influx of silver made it a more common sight in the markets, yet the government stubbornly refused to mint it into official coins. Instead, they continued to allow silver to be used in the form of chunks or small, privately made ingots, which were weighed for each transaction. This system was clumsy and often led to disputes over purity and weight. One of the biggest reasons Joseon officials were so against silver coinage was their deep-seated belief in Confucian ideals. Many scholars and government ministers argued that agriculture was the true source of a nation's wealth, not commerce. They worried that if a convenient and valuable currency like silver coins was introduced, people would abandon farming to become merchants. They feared this would lead to social instability and a decline in moral values, as people chased after profit instead of working the land. This philosophical opposition was a powerful barrier, as the government actively tried to suppress the growth of a commercial economy and keep the focus on agriculture. Another practical problem was the government's fear of losing control. If they minted silver coins, it would be very difficult to manage the money supply. As we saw with the Goryeo dynasty, Korea still relied heavily on imported silver. The value of this silver could change based on international trade, making the economy unstable. Furthermore, the government was worried about counterfeiting. It was much harder to control the purity and weight of thousands of small coins than it was to manage larger, state-approved ingots. They believed that creating silver coins would open the door to chaos, with fake money flooding the markets and undermining the state's authority. So, for nearly 500 years, the Joseon dynasty operated with a strange dual currency system. Common people used bronze coins, when available, and cloth for everyday purchases, while merchants and the government used silver by weight for larger deals. This created many inefficiencies. Imagine having to carry a small scale and a tool to cut silver every time you wanted to make a significant purchase. Despite these challenges, the official policy remained unchanged. The dream of a standardized Korean silver coin was put on hold, waiting for a time when the forces of change would become too powerful for even the most traditionalist government to ignore. By the late 19th century, the world was knocking on Korea's door, and it was knocking loudly. For centuries, Korea had been known as the Hermit Kingdom because it tried to keep foreign influences out. But now, powerful Western nations like the United States, France, and Germany, along with a rapidly modernizing Japan, were sailing their advanced steamships into Korean waters. They were not just exploring, they were demanding that Korea open its ports to international trade. This intense pressure brought with it new ideas, new technologies, and a completely different way of thinking about money. The old ways of using cloth or clumsy silver ingots were simply not going to work in this new global economy. These foreign traders arrived with their own standardized coins, like the Mexican silver dollar, which was a trusted currency all over the world. When they traded with Korean merchants, they expected to be paid in a similarly reliable and easy-to-use form of money. Weighing chunks of silver for every transaction was seen as backward and inefficient. This created a huge push for Korea to modernize its own monetary system. King Gojong and his more progressive officials realized that if Korea was to survive and maintain its independence, it had to adopt international standards. This included everything from modernizing the military to reforming the government, and crucially, creating a modern currency. The need for change was not just about pleasing foreign traders. It was also about strengthening the nation from within. A standardized national currency would make it easier for the government to collect taxes, pay soldiers and officials, and fund modernization projects. It would unify the country's economy, replacing the chaotic mix of local bartering systems, Chinese coins, and Japanese money that was circulating in different regions. Creating a national coinage was a powerful statement of sovereignty. It was a way for the Korean government to declare to the world, "We are a modern, independent nation with our own stable and reliable money." This period, therefore, was a time of immense pressure and rapid transformation. The old Confucian arguments against commerce and silver coins began to crumble in the face of overwhelming external forces. The choice was simple: modernize or be left behind. King Gojong, understanding the gravity of the situation, made the bold decision to move forward. He established a modern mint, the Jeon Hwanguk, in 1883, with the help of German engineers. The stage was finally set. After centuries of debate and delay, Korea was about to take a monumental step and mint its very first official, modern silver coin. The era of the silver ingot was coming to an end. The year 1892 marks a pivotal moment in Korean history. After years of planning and overcoming immense technical and political challenges, King Gojong's modern mint was finally ready. In that year, the machines roared to life and produced Korea's first ever official silver coin, intended for general circulation. It was a 5-yang coin. This was not just a piece of metal. It was the culmination of a long and difficult journey toward modernization. It represented a radical break from 1,000 years of tradition, where silver was treated as treasure or used in bulky ingots. This new coin was designed to be a tool for everyone, a symbol of a new, forward-looking Korea. However, the introduction of this revolutionary coin was not as smooth as the government had hoped. The 5-yang coin was quite large and contained a significant amount of silver, making it very valuable. In fact, it was worth so much that it was not practical for the average person to use for daily shopping. Most people were still accustomed to using small-value bronze coins for their everyday needs. As a result, the beautiful new silver coin did not circulate widely among the general population. It was mostly used by the government, wealthy merchants, and foreigners who understood and trusted standardized silver currency. The limited circulation of the 5-yang coin was also due to the economic realities of the time. Many ordinary Koreans were poor and simply did not engage in transactions large enough to require such a high-value coin. Furthermore, there was a deep-seated distrust of new forms of money. People were used to the tangible value of rice, cloth, or raw silver that they could weigh themselves. A government-issued coin was a new concept, and it took time for people to accept that its value was guaranteed by the state. The coin was a fantastic achievement in terms of technology and policy, but it was a bit too far ahead of its time for the society it was meant to serve. Despite these initial struggles, the creation of the 5-yang coin was incredibly important. It was a powerful symbol of Korea's determination to join the community of modern nations. It demonstrated that the Korean government had the technical capability and the political will to create a modern financial system. Even though it failed to become a popular, everyday currency, it laid the essential groundwork for all future Korean coinage. It was the first step, the grand experiment that proved it could be done. The 5-yang coin of 1892 will forever be remembered as the pioneer that opened the door to a new era of money in Korea. The 5-yang silver coin of 1892 was not just important for what it represented. It was also a beautiful object with carefully chosen designs. The coin was quite large, with a diameter of 38 millimeters, similar in size to the famous US silver dollar of the time. It was made of 90% pure silver with a weight of 26.95 grams, which gave it a substantial and satisfying feel in the hand. These specifications were not chosen randomly. They were deliberately aligned with international standards, particularly the Mexican silver dollar, to ensure that the coin would be accepted and trusted by foreign traders. This was a clear signal that Korea was serious about participating in the global economy on equal terms. On the front of the coin, known as the obverse, was a stunning and powerful design, a pair of dragons facing each other, surrounded by intricate cloud patterns, with a pearl-like symbol in the center. The dragon was a traditional and potent symbol of the king and his authority. By placing this image on the nation's first silver coin, the government was making a clear statement about royal power and protection over the nation's economy. Around the rim, the coin was inscribed with the words Great Joseon and the year it was minted, the 501st year of the dynasty. This design beautifully blended traditional Korean symbolism with the modern format of a Western-style coin. The back of the coin, the reverse, was just as thoughtfully designed. In the center, it featured the denomination 5 yang, written in traditional Chinese characters, enclosed within a wreath. The wreath was made of a plum branch on the left and a cherry blossom branch on the right, which were both important symbols in East Asian culture. Around the rim, the coin's value was also written in English as 5 yang, another clear nod to its intended use in international commerce. The inclusion of English was a revolutionary step, showing a new openness to the outside world that was a complete departure from the isolationist policies of the past. Every element of the 5 yang coin was a deliberate message. The silver content and size spoke of reliability and adherence to international standards. The dragon design asserted royal authority and national pride. The bilingual inscriptions communicated a new era of global engagement. This coin was far more than just money. It was a piece of diplomatic art. It was designed to build confidence both at home and abroad, representing King Gojong's vision for a Korea that could honor its rich traditions while boldly stepping into the modern world. It was a metallic ambassador for a nation in transition. Following the ambitious introduction of the 5 yang coin, Korea's journey into modern coinage continued, but under increasingly difficult circumstances. In 1897, King Gojong declared the founding of the Korean Empire, elevating his status to emperor in a desperate attempt to assert Korea's independence from both China and the growing influence of Japan. This political change was reflected in the nation's money. The currency system was reformed again, and new silver coins were issued under the authority of the empire. These coins featured new designs, such as an eagle emblem, which was adopted as a symbol of the new empire, replacing the previous dragon motif. These new silver coins, like the half won, equivalent to 5 yang, were technically excellent and continued the policy of matching international standards. The mint, now under more direct Japanese technical supervision, produced coins that were well made and consistent in quality. The government tried hard to get these coins into circulation and create a unified monetary system for the entire country. For a brief period, it seemed as if the dream of a stable modern Korean currency was finally within reach. The silver coins of the Korean Empire were symbols of a nation fighting for its sovereignty, a last, proud assertion of its identity in the face of overwhelming external pressures. However, this period of numismatic progress was overshadowed by a dark political reality. Japan's influence over Korea was growing stronger by the day. After its victory in the Russo-Japanese War of 1904 to 1905, Japan effectively became the dominant power on the Korean peninsula. Japanese officials were placed in key advisory roles within the Korean government, including the Ministry of Finance. This meant that while the coin still bore the name of the Korean Empire and featured its emblems, the decisions about the nation's monetary policy were increasingly being made in Tokyo, not Seoul. The Korean government was losing control over its own money. This loss of monetary sovereignty was a critical step towards the complete loss of national independence. The Japanese began to push their own currency, the Japanese yen, into circulation within Korea, often at an exchange rate that was unfavorable to Koreans. They took over the management of the Korean mint and began to phase out the Korean imperial coinage. The beautiful silver coins of the Korean Empire, which had started as a symbol of independence and modernization, ironically became witnesses to the final erosion of that very independence. Their production was a final flicker of hope before the darkness of colonial rule fell over the nation. The final chapter for Korea's independent silver coinage was written not by Korean emperors, but by Japanese colonial administrators. In 1910, Japan formally annexed Korea, turning it into a colony. With this act, the Korean Empire ceased to exist, and so did its right to issue its own currency. The Japanese colonial government moved swiftly to completely dismantle Korea's monetary system and replace it with their own. One of their first actions was to officially abolish the Korean won and make the Japanese yen the sole legal tender throughout the peninsula. All the efforts of King Gojong and the reformers to build a modern, independent currency were erased. The Korean mint, which had been a source of national pride, was repurposed to serve the interests of the colonial power. It stopped producing coins with Korean emblems and inscriptions, and instead began minting coins for the new colonial currency system, which was tied directly to the Japanese yen. The silver coins that had once circulated, symbolizing Korea's aspirations, were systematically withdrawn from circulation. Many were melted down, their precious silver content repurposed for the Japanese war machine, or to mint new coins that bore the symbols of the Japanese emperor. It was a physical and symbolic destruction of a nation's identity. For the Korean people, this was a devastating blow. Being forced to use the currency of their colonizers was a daily reminder of their lost sovereignty. The money in their pockets no longer featured the proud dragons or eagles of their own rulers, but the symbols of a foreign power. This monetary takeover was a key tool of colonial control. By controlling the currency, Japan could control Korea's entire economy, directing its resources and labor to benefit Japan. The era of Korean silver coins, which had begun with such high hopes for modernization and independence, had come to a tragic and abrupt end. The story of the disappearance of Korean silver coins is therefore inseparable from the painful history of the Japanese colonial period. The coins that survive today from that brief period of issuance between 1892 and 1910 are more than just rare collector's items. They are historical artifacts that tell a story of a nation's struggle. They represent a fleeting moment of hope, a bold dream of a modern and independent Korea that was crushed before it could be fully realized. The silence of the mints was a powerful symbol of the silence imposed on the Korean people for the next 35 years. After Korea regained its independence in 1945, the country faced the monumental task of rebuilding itself from the ashes of colonialism and war. Establishing a new, stable currency was a top priority for the newly formed Republic of Korea, or South Korea. However, the economic situation was dire. The country was impoverished, and precious metals like silver were far too scarce and valuable to be used for everyday coins. The new government had to focus on creating affordable, low-denomination currency using cheaper metals like bronze and copper nickel, which were needed to get the economy moving again for ordinary people. The idea of minting silver coins for circulation was an impossible luxury. As South Korea's economy began to grow at a miraculous pace in the following decades, the nature of money also changed. The world was moving away from the silver standard, and coins were becoming tokens whose value was based on government trust, not on the value of the metal they contained. There was no longer any practical reason to mint silver coins for buying and selling goods. The role that silver had played for centuries as a basis for currency had come to an end globally. South Korea, as a modernizing industrial nation, followed this trend. The daily currency became firmly based on fiat money, completely separate from precious metals. Today, the Bank of Korea does produce beautiful silver coins, but their purpose is entirely different from that of their 19th century ancestors. These modern coins are not meant to be spent at the grocery store. They are non-circulating legal tender, created specifically for collectors and investors. These are known as commemorative coins. They are issued to celebrate important national events, such as the Olympic Games, the FIFA World Cup, or the anniversary of a significant historical figure. They are minted in limited quantities and are sold at a price much higher than their face value, reflecting the value of the silver and their rarity as a collectible item. This modern role for silver brings its story in Korea full circle. Before coins ever existed, silver was a treasure, a way to store wealth and commemorate important events. After a brief and historically significant period as a circulating currency, it has returned to being a treasure once again. The silver coins produced by South Korea today are a tribute to the nation's culture and achievements. They connect the present to a long history, reminding us of the journey from the royal gifts of ancient kingdoms to the ambitious 5-young coin of 1892, and finally to the proud modern nation that South Korea has